and he just had a baby girl. His baby girl's so cute. She got like this gray blue eyes. Like, oh man, it's crazy. I said, dang, bro, that's a cute little baby right there.
That's like my brother. He has a little girl, and her eyes are like that too. It's like,
for real.
it's like, oh, my
For
heart.
real, I'm telling you. It got me on that one. I said, I ain't never Goo Goo Gaga had no baby before. I ain't never done that.
Right. People are like, oh, all babies are precious. I'm like, they're not.
Not like this one. Not like this one.
They're not. They're not. Speaking of brothers, that's what I was waiting on, actually. So.
All right. Let's go ahead and get this thing rolling a little bit. It's 5:03. All right. So, okay. So, all right, y'all. So, everybody that's in here, everybody that's going to watch eventually later at the time, whenever I put it on YouTube and everything, this show is called Mind Your Business. It is a show about, I interview entrepreneurs and side hustles and people, business owners that are trying to get to that next level and trying to keep it moving. But also I interview them to help inspire people that are stuck in the mundane 9 to 5 and they want to get out. So they got to see people that are doing it as well. So that's what I kind of base my show off of. So first I want to shout out Paradiso Vacay for the sponsorship and everything that you've done for me up to this point. I want to also shout out Aventino Watches for the watches that you make. Hey, you know what? Mind your business. Bang, bang. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to y'all for that. Shout out for all the love. And today we are interviewing Miss Marquette. She is my hairstylist. She's a killer with it. You know what I mean? One of the best on the block. You know what I'm saying? You know how it go. She does a great job every time I go see her. She is also a model as well. And she also, on top of that, which is probably more important than anything that she does, she's a military veteran. So we're going to go ahead and dive deep all into that. If there's anything I forgot, you go ahead and let the people know, let them know a little bit about you, and then we'll go ahead and get started.
I mean, I guess you pretty much covered it all. Like you said, I'm a vet. So I was actually a truck driver for the beginning of my career in the Army. And then towards the end, I changed over to a veterinary technician, which I also did on the civilian side. So there's that. And then now I'm doing mostly hair, makeup, weddings, things like that. I mean, you pretty much covered it. So nothing.
Hold on, let's run it back real quick. Let's go back to the technician part when you was whipping the truck and swinging the block in the truck. Kind of go more detail about that real quick before we dive into everything else.
Okay, so let's see. I went to the military really young, 17, 18 years old, straight out of high school. Very well could have went to college. Decided that's not what I really wanted to do right away, but I knew I wanted to be a veterinarian. So I knew if I went to the military, I could still go to school later down the line. One of my bucket list things was to be in the Army.
Yeah.
So I went to the Army. I did that for 12 years. Like I said, my first job, literally like a month before I went to basic training, I got my driver's license. So when I got to basic training, I had just learned how to drive, and they were teaching me how to drive like large vehicles.
I bet you was over here like, damn, like the steering wheel's bigger than you.
No lie, I sat on my rucksack. I legitimately sat on a military backpack, stuffed with all kinds of stuff, so that I could actually see at least halfway through the top of the truck.
Yeah.
So it looked crazy. I would have to climb in. We call it 3 points of contact. You know, you have 2 hands and a foot at least touching the vehicle at one time. No, me, I needed all 4 points of contact. I had to get in and out backwards, okay? Because I'm so small. I'm 4'11". So getting in and out these trucks, that was the funniest thing.
I bet you that reversing was hard, though. The reversing must have been a BI.
Nope. The joy is the fact that I was so young and I had just learned how to drive. I was easily taught. You know, I was easily influenced. So it wasn't like I had already developed bad habits driving or anything like that, because I hadn't had any experience. So when I learned how to do those things, it was it came easy. I didn't have to.
Hey,
yeah,
that makes sense. I never thought about it like that. You kind of flipped it on me on that one. Okay, because it's the first time you're learning something, you know, you're kind of going into it, and it's okay, so this is going to be easy because, or not easy, but it's going to be easier because it's the first time learning this in this type of environment or vehicle. You know what I mean?
Right. And so that was the best part, is backing up. That's the best part. One, because I was good at it, shockingly good at it. So I was okay, cool. Um, None but the same. So,
Hey,
that was,
we'll probably dive back into that later. We kind of went deeper than I
but
expected with the military, which ain't nothing wrong with it. But we'll go
it
ahead and
is.
go into like the hairstylist part because that's kind of how
Love
I
it.
got introduced to you. Because honestly, I literally posted on my Facebook one day, and this is how you know somebody's a real hustler, right? I posted on my Facebook. I was like, hey, like who does dreads or twist hair? She was the first person on there, commented, bang bang, gave me your information. Didn't even
Right?
know who I was, had no clue who I was, just like bang bang. I friend requested her. I said, okay, cool. Like, let me go ahead and go from here. Then I looked at how far she was, and I said, dang, that's about 45 to 50 minutes. Let's see if it's all worth it. So I went over there,
Right.
got my hair twisted.
Thank you.
So, like, let's go deeper into that as well because, like, how did you even get into it, like, in hairstyling? Like, was it something that you did when you were younger? Did you do your friend's hair? Did you do, like, guys that you knew hair, like dreads and everything and braids and twists? Or was it something that, like, you were always just good at or, just let us know?
So when I started doing hair, I was probably, let's see, I taught myself how to braid when I was like early elementary school
Mm-hmm.
because I spent a lot of time by myself. Uh, so and I enjoyed, I just enjoyed doing hair. And then maybe about middle school, my mom broke her hand
Mm-hmm.
and she couldn't do me and my sister's hair anymore. So it was either walk around looking like a chicken head or learn how to do my hair.
Ooh.
So
You
right,
figured out real quick.
real fast. And it's crazy because she didn't really like. It wasn't that she couldn't do her hair. It's that like every time she did it, she would like cluck us upside the head and like with her broken hand, she was like beating us. I was like, I can't take it anymore. Started doing some of my friends as practice, um, and it just kind of went from there. Crazy enough, the reason why I started doing hair is because the job I was doing in the military, mentally I couldn't do it anymore. So the next best thing that I was good at, well, doing hair. So even while I was overseas, I did hair, I braided, everything like that, because being a natural Black woman in the military at the time, there was nobody to actually do our hair. So we were
Yeah,
kind of on our own when we were overseas. So I was like,
that's what I'm saying.
let's,
You going to Lebanon, you going all these different places. They ain't doing no dress and everything out there.
you know what I'm saying? So, and that's kind of how it started. And I really enjoy doing it. And now because I can do it and enjoy doing it, it's not like
Mhm.
a job. Um, I can do it a lot more. I can work for myself and do it and still be passionate about it. So it's kind of
So
where I'm at with it now.
Hey, so since you kind of told us how you got started, every time you're doing my hair, because when I'm at home, like, and I haven't got my hair done for a while, I got to do some stuff to my hair, and like by the time I get to my third dread, like my arms are already tired. I'm just like, I don't even want to do this. So what even keeps you motivated to keep doing it? I mean, obviously the money, you know what I mean, but like outside of the money, what motivates you to keep doing it? Because I mean, you got to have stamina in the shoulders, in the triceps, and the biceps, and everything when you're doing hair. Because I'm like, I can't do this. So, like, what keeps you motivated to do that?
So like I said, I enjoy doing it. I actually
Mm-hmm.
enjoy doing hair. But there's something about when people come in, the attitude is changed if they have a good experience.
Mm-hmm.
People come in and get their hair done, it's like, okay, you may be having like a depressing day, but when you get in the shampoo bowl and get your hair shampoo, it's like, okay, this is relaxing. I
Yeah.
enjoy creating the environment to where people come and can feel like they're relieving stress. And then when they leave, they feel good about themselves. Not just because their hair looks good, but they actually have a therapeutic experience. You've been to my salon because you've been there, right?
Yeah.
So my little sign says the therapist. But
Therapist.
that's
I don't even know if I noticed that.
you
Now
ever
I
notice
know.
that?
If you don't know, now you know. I didn't even know that. I'm gonna see
But
that
that's
next
what it
time.
is. Like you go to get your hair done and it's like going to therapy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're a lot of people, their stylists hold their deepest secrets. And that's what it is for me. It's like, man, giving somebody a safe space because a lot of the time, me personally, I feel like I didn't have a safe space in life. So to be able to go to somebody and just like have that conversation and just talk and get some things off your chest and know that when you leave there, that's where you basically wash it down a shampoo bowl.
Hey, I ain't mad at that. So like, okay, there was like three questions I had because I don't mind me looking down because I have questions and like as you're talking, I kind of gauge my questions off of what you're saying and then I'm looking
You
at
good?
30. But like, I mean, since we're kind of like we're hitting the ground running here, like give us some of like the most satisfying moments that you had doing someone's hair? You know, like you said, people come in, they're angry, and then you could fix them up by doing their hair. And that's true, because when I go to the barbershop, I get lined up, I feel like a whole new man. You know what I'm saying? I
Like,
already know. I
oh
already know.
yeah, like do
I
y'all see
already
me?
know.
Like do
So
y'all
like,
see
so what are some satisfying moments? And then also on the flip side, what are some non-satisfying moments that you had doing hair?
Okay, so my most satisfying moment has to be I have a multitude of alopecia clients
Mm-hmm.
who, and if you don't know what alopecia is basically like balding,
Yeah.
right? And so there's one particular client. She comes in with her daughter, and when I first started doing her hair, the vast majority of the front had already started thinning and balding, and she was already starting to lose her hair, right? And every time I do her hair, it's like she's like, man, I feel like a good new person. But the last like two times she came in, she was like, man, my scalp is really, really itchy, and I'm like, well, you don't have history of dry scalp or anything like that. I go to look at her scalp, and in the spots where she's been bald over the last 10 years, hair is growing. That doesn't happen very often.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, she's been going to several different stylists over the last 10 years as she's been losing her hair and has not seen any growth. Over the last few months of us doing her hair, she's been my client for about 2 years now. The last few months, we've been noticing significant amount of hair breakthrough. For me, that's the most satisfying thing because that gives her a sense of encouragement. It gives her a sense of like hope. Like, okay, my hair is going to grow back. It is going to come back in full. It is, as a hairstylist, that says something about me. I'm like, okay, I know that I'm doing the right things because her hair is breaking through the follicle and she is starting to feel better about herself. She is more confident. And like, that's the best feeling in the world. Like, I was crying, okay? And I'm not a crying ass female, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not a crier. So, like, I was in tears when I saw hair coming through. In tears. I was like, girl, give me a second. I got to pull myself together. And, then we hugged and laughed and all that stuff. And so it was great. Worst experience, and this has happened like a couple of times.
Yeah.
I've had a client come in, say, oh man, this was a great experience, blah, 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 blah. And then something happens and like they request like a refund. And I have no idea why. And it turns out it's a freaking scammer. Like she came, got her hair done, and like she spent a pretty pity. It was like 3 months later where she like went in and refuted the transaction. And
Mm.
that was like a whole show. Like there was a lot of back and forth. There was a lot of like I had to press charges. Like
Dang.
I
That's
was really right. I'm like, I had to press charges. This woman is going over a small amount of money. She's willing to go to jail for theft of service. And I had pictures of her. Like I had done her hair and took pictures. She was like, she told the banks, she told like the third because she paid through Cash App, which is why I don't take Cash App payments now.
Yeah, I mean, I ain't mad at you. I'm just glad that you know what I'm saying? I already know.
But that was probably the worst experience. Most times I don't have bad experiences with my clients. Most
I
times
mean,
I have pretty good experiences. But that one right there, woo child, I didn't know. It made me question whether or not I was doing the right thing.
I know. Well, I mean, if you took pictures, it's almost like if you showed the judge or the attorney, they'd be like, "What's wrong with it?" I mean, especially if they're not black. You know what I'm saying? Just to be honest, here, it doesn't
Well, here's the
like, what's
thing
wrong?
though. I still lost my money.
Oh, they gave it back to her.
They still gave it back to her because even though she
Oh,
paid through Cash App, it went through her bank. And
yeah.
Cash App won't tell you who she banks with or anything like that. They just refund the money and you're out of it. Same thing with PayPal. Actually, that's happened to me twice. PayPal, like they'll just so I was out of the money, but it was like lesson learned. They won't get it anymore. So
Exactly. Well, don't even worry about it because everything goes around comes around. You know what I'm saying? So
tenfold.
doing that,
Exactly.
you might run into the wrong one. You know what I'm saying?
And like I said, theft of service is a real charge, okay?
Yeah.
People going to jail out here for $150 services. Like, don't do that.
Yeah, exactly. For real, that don't even make no sense to really be honest with you, because dollars don't make sense. You know, anyway. So
Yeah.
that's what I mean. So on top of that, because I mean, you told me you've been doing the hairstyling for a while. Like, and we always talk every time I'm there. Once you get into someone's head, I feel like they open up about themselves. It's like
I'm
how I
telling
always
you,
feel.
yeah, that's how I become the therapist. The
So
therapist.
like we talk and you tell me about everything you've gone through and things like that. So like, how did you even like raise funding to get this started? Did you start from the ground up? Did you have like nothing, like, hey, I'm just gonna go ahead and do this before I even had my logo and everything else, the name of my place, my all that stuff? Or was it something that you had funding for, investors? Like how'd you start off?
So I went to beauty school in 2018,
Mm-hmm.
and part of the curriculum was actually building your business. So you had to be like, you had to create a website, you had to open or create a Instagram, Facebook. You had to do all of these things in beauty school. So they basically made you start your business then.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did this competition called Beacon through Pro Beauty Association, which now I'm a mentor for, which is awesome. Um, and they basically tell you how to build your business. They tell you this, like the financial portion of it, and
Mm-hmm.
how to do your pricing and things like that. So I basically had a really good foundation just through starting in school several years ago. I worked for Sport Clips for a little while, learned some foundation fundamentals there. I went to J.C. Penney, and that was kind of my first introduction to working for myself, but working for someone else too. Um, Hated it.
Oh,
It
y'all do. We
absolutely
all do.
hated it.
We all do. We all do.
And then the pandemic happened. So when the pandemic happened, I basically was stuck. Like, what do you do? Like, I started this job, and a month later, like, basically I got fired because
Mm-hmm.
Texas said we can't do hair. So when they finally opened up, it was like 8 months later. So I was like on unemployment and like just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I kind of like saved my money and things like that. And in February last year, I randomly got a message from Salon Meyerland, like the owner of the Bonner, and he was like, "Hey, you showed you were interested 2 years ago." I sent an inquiry 2 years ago about a suite over there,
Yeah.
and he was like, "Hey, we have some open availability, blah blah. We were just opening back up." I said, "Well, let me check it out." I go in and I'm like, "Oh snap! Like this is really nice." But my gut was telling me, "You ain't got no money in your bank account, but start anyway." And so he was like, "Okay, well, here's what I'll do. Because of COVID, I know everybody's kind of tight on cash.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you 4 weeks free. In those 4 weeks, you can use 2 weeks towards your deposit to be here. And then you can use those other 2 weeks whenever you can, or whenever if you just happen to need it." That was on a Friday. Saturday morning, whatever clients I was taking at my house, because I was doing hair out of my house,
Mm-hmm.
I had everybody that day and every day after that meet me at the salon. And from that day forward, literally in that first 2 weeks, I made enough money to pay every bill that I had, including my suite rent for the month. So I
Yeah.
was able to like stack money very quickly because I had people that wanted to come see me, but I didn't want everybody in my house.
Oh yeah, you can't have everybody coming through pulling up. I know what you mean.
Exactly. And then I was mobile as well. So for all through beauty school up until I was doing hair in the house, like a year or so, I was mobile. I was driving all around Houston doing hair. So when I finally had a place to go, my clients were like, "You don't have to come to me anymore. I'll come to you." And like it's history. So now I'm like
The
doing
crazy
my
thing,
thing now.
I can already see it because, like I said, I posted my post on Facebook. 3 minutes later, I said, "Dang, someone got me quick. My watch buzzed." I said, "Hold on, let me go ahead."
I was in your business, okay? I was in
Like,
your business right quick. And it's crazy because I wasn't following you or anything. I don't even know how I saw your post, but I know I was like on it.
it's weird. I think maybe like there might be keywords or key terms that you post, and then
Mhm.
like it might trigger something. Like I said, I don't know how either. That's not. Honestly, God, I don't even
It
know.
was fate.
Yeah, it might have been Facebook fate over here doing the damn algorithm and shit. I over here watching us over here.
No, for real though, for real.
So
That's funny.
within all that, like how did you even come up with the name of your company?
Okay, so when I was like 12,
Yeah.
I was like a I was a Bible thumping Christian, right? I love that. I love when I tell people that. I was a Bible thumping Christian. I was in a church all the time. And shockingly, I was not very I wasn't as boisterous, wasn't as
Yeah.
outspoken as I am now.
Yeah.
Um, but I wanted to be involved in the church. I wanted to dance. I wanted to be in the choir. I wanted to be involved. And so in doing those things, people got to know me. One guy in particular, shout out to Brian, he was like, you're kind of all over the place all the time, that kind of thing. And then he
Yeah.
was like, and you're so little. But I hated for people to reference how small I was. Part of the praise dance team, everybody's name was Miss something, but I was the youngest one, so I wasn't Miss anything. And then they made me Miss Itzy because you had to put a little respect on it, right? I'm
Yeah.
small, but I'm mighty. So, I got to be Miss Itzy. And I kind of like been holding on to that name ever since. Um, a thing that like people notice, maybe high school, was I would tell people all the time, and she is, because I'm her, she is me.
Mm.
And so that's kind of just how it developed. Yes, I am. She is Miss Itzy. That is who I am. And so I'm like, and I'm stylish. So I just kind of was a thing.
Got a little style. I like the the
Yes,
Africa Bambaataa earrings. You know what I'm saying? I'm with them. I roll with them. You know what I'm saying? Power. You know what I'm saying? We know what it is.
not
So like,
power to it.
I love that. Now, obviously the hat. You know, I mess with the hat all day. I was thinking about getting one, but I was like, I don't know. I'm more
I'm
of a.
telling you, fedoras are in. Sometimes you got to switch it up.
I don't know if I can. I might one day, maybe one day. If the dreads are laying down right, I might. I might.
Yeah, I already know when I see the beanie, it's time for you to come in.
I know, right? Don't be telling everybody. Don't be telling everybody. So
I'm
like,
telling.
so whenever you were going, what was the biggest challenge you had to overcome, like at the beginning, or just challenge you had to overcome throughout, running your business?
Being broke.
I feel like it's a challenge for everybody, even when they're not broke.
Yeah, let me tell you something. I don't care what anybody says. When you work for yourself, right, and you don't have any financial backing, and you're just coming from the ground up,
Yeah.
you have to be okay with being broke for just a little bit. Okay,
Mm-hmm. That's true.
that living from paycheck to paycheck, it was like, whoo, I don't know if I'm gonna make it to the next paycheck, because the paycheck is coming from you. It's your business paying you. And so like that probably was that was the most humbling experience, to learn how to like financially navigate a business,
Mm-hmm.
learning the difference between having a business bank account and a personal bank account, just things like that, because when taxes come around, you can't have your money mixed and stuff.
Oh, exactly. Because they gonna get you. They
Didn't
gonna.
know that. Ooh, I didn't know. So, just that is probably the hardest part of business, is just making sure that, financially, that you're good, that you're not just breaking even, that you're actually seeing a profit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then standing by your pricing. I've had to come to the conclusion that these are my prices.
Yeah.
If I understand that my prices are not for everybody, my services are not for everybody. And I have to be okay with that. I have to be okay with the fact that everybody is not my client. Everybody is not in the market to be my customer. But don't worry, 75 other stylists right in the same building I'm in. I would suggest somebody else if you don't fit. So
Exactly.
that was probably just like the hardest part. But I mean, in the beginning. Now I'm just like, it is what it is.
Yeah. It is what it is. It is what it ain't. Shorty, what you drink. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, by the way, just to talk to people in the chat as well, real quick. If you have any questions for me or for Miss Marquette here, go ahead and type those questions in the chat. Towards the end of the interview, I'll go ahead and read those questions off, and then we can go from there. I'm kind of doing something a little different because I usually don't pay attention to the chat as much often. I pay attention to the person, but I'm kind of trying to branch it out a little bit, kind of keep expanding. So if y'all
You
have
got
any
a razzle dazzle.
type it in the bottom, we'll kind of go from there. So this is when it starts to get a little deeper with the questions that I do. Since I already got you opened up, you're saying everything. You talk about your life, da 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 da. How have your priorities changed since you started? Since you started, do you organize yourself differently? Do you handle yourself differently? Do you hang around the same type of people? Like how have your priorities changed since then?
Um, so now I'm a little bit more aware of the fact that like I am my business.
Mm-hmm.
So the way I walk, the way I talk, the way I present myself is a direct representation of the business. How I carry myself, how I present myself reflects the kind of clientele that I want to have.
Yeah.
So even where I network and where I market and things like that, that all is like forefront of my brain. There's times where I go places and I'm like, ooh, back in the day. But now I got to think about my business.
Hey, hold on. Back in the day, I already know.
You know, it's like, ooh, yeah. And so I have to think about the fact that I'm representing more than just myself now,
Yeah.
you know? Sure, no one can call it. Can nobody call my boss and say, oh, you got this kind of employee? However, the things that I post, you know, the things that I say in public, it's a small world.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
you know, you never know who knows who. You know, we just encountered that the other day. You had no idea that was my middle school friend. I got pictures of the lady you referred to me, like from middle school. We were close. So it's like, wow. So you never know. And so that is something that I think about all the time. That has very much changed my attitude in a lot of ways. I'm a firecracker. But now I'm a little bit like not as fiery. I'll still crack, but it's not as
still
fiery.
Crack. You might be more Rice Krispie, snap, crackle, pop. You know,
right? You know, I'm not necessarily. You know, I put a little bit more thought into how I react to people because I'll have a conversation now. Back in the day, I don't have anything to talk about.
Yeah.
Whatever problem you want, sure, I want whatever problem you want. But now I'm just like, a lot of things are not worth my energy because I'm trying to build a business. Because some of the people that I'm connected with, I would hate for them to be connected to something else, you know, anything negative. So I have to carry myself in a different light. And yeah, that's probably the biggest change in my life is just the manner in which I carry myself or speak to people or just anything, you know. I'm always thinking about the fact that this is a business and I got to represent that in the best light.
You got to, because if you don't, then somebody else will. You know what I'm saying? You already know.
You know, and the logo got my face on it, so you know, can't do that.
So how do you balance, you know, everything you have going on? You know what I mean? Because like you said, the dude when he met you at church is like you're all over the place, this and that, and you know we're all getting older and we understand things in a different light. Obviously, like I said, we write things down, we have a schedule, but even sometimes your schedule gets bumped and gets trumped and all that. So how do you like balance out the lifestyle of doing the hair and then doing this and then the modeling? Of course, we haven't even got into that, and then being like, you know, a military veteran, I'm sure they might call you in every once in a while. I mean, I don't know how it all works, but how do you like balance it all out and still stay structured and still like, you know, try to figure out everything you got going on?
Well, now my life is a little bit less hectic because I'm not in the military anymore. So I don't have that obligation. You know, there's appointments, you know, but that's the joys of being a vet. That's any adult though. I would say now I have boundaries. I have to maintain my boundaries. I have business hours. So I stay true to my business hours. I always have my business phone on me, but I have to, you know, I can't be responding to messages at 11 o'clock at night, you know, because that takes away from my time at home. That takes away from, you know, time with family or friends or whatever the case may be, or just time to myself. Sundays and Mondays, I don't work at all. After 9 o'clock on Saturday, I cannot be a stylist until Monday at like 6 o'clock, you know. And in doing that, I've found that, okay, Mondays, I give myself like 2 hours to work on like working my books, you know, my necessary overhead, things like that. But other than that, yeah, no, I just figure it out. I literally have, I'm not going to say a schedule because I don't do anything on a schedule at this point in life. But I work my business hours and that's it. You know, those are the hours that I work and then I don't work anything. Everything else falls in the time outside of business hours. If I need to do something like I'm going out the country for a week for my birthday, I was like, well, let me see if I can squeeze people in. No. No, because I'm supposed to be getting ready to go out the country. So I've set, you know, boundaries for myself, boundaries for my clientele, boundaries for family, friends, things like that. And so that's just what it is. Hey, boundaries are important.
Ramona gave you a shout out right there, you know what I'm saying? So you might want to go.
That's my mommy.
Yeah, there you go. There it is.
That's my dark twin.
So before we get into the modeling and the military stuff, you know, like, and then I asked you the last question. You already know what the last question is. I tell everybody. So, you know, we'll go ahead and talk about that. So it's pretty much like 4 of them left, but we'll go ahead and ask you this, and then we'll get into the modeling a little bit, ask you a little bit about the military, like the craziest story you had that you can tell us, you know, and then we'll go ahead and go from there. So, okay, so you'll just get, you know, so knowing what you know now of everything that you've done, what would you have done differently knowing what you know now?
Nothing.
Oh, I've never heard that. Explain that. I love that answer because I got to hear this explanation.
Okay. Well, you know some of my backstory. So, you know,
Yeah.
I have been through a lot in life.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things that, you know, a lot of people couldn't stomach. Like I tell them and they're like, that really happened? Like it sounds like a movie, you know?
Yeah.
And it's really molded me. Like as I'm getting older, I'm noticing the change in who I am. Like sure enough, I would have very well been okay with not going through some things. But what I'll say is that I appreciate every trial and tribulation because like every triumph, you know, every time I was knocked down, I had to get back up because man, like looking back on it now, I'm like, no, I'm a fighter. Like I'm resilient as hell. And I appreciate that. And I feel like part of life is not having any regrets. I regret nothing. And when you don't have regrets, you don't want to change anything. Would I have approached things differently? Possibly, but not likely. You
Yeah.
know, just because the outcome now is working out in my favor and I needed it to go the way that it went so that I could be where I am now. So I can be present where I am now. So I can be okay with the way life works out and things like that. Like if I went tomorrow, I'd be satisfied, you know, like, and I think that's like important.
Hey, that's huge because I'm so glad you said that because, like, damn, I did not think that was coming. To really be honest with you, like, I've never heard anyone say that because I was watching the Ole Miss and Baylor game last night, and that
Yeah.
Ole Miss has a quarterback that he was a little bit injured before the game. So whenever it comes, and he's going to be like a top, probably like a first round pick. And so whenever you start a bowl game, you can opt out and start working towards the combine, towards like the draft and everything. He
Right.
decided to play. He got hurt. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Sideline cheering his team on, whatever. And the announcer after the game was like, honestly, I think if you told him that he was going to get hurt before the game, he still would have
Still
played.
would have played. Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's like,
Still would
hey,
have played.
I mess with that. I got to give you a clap on that one. I like that. I really like you dropped a little knowledge on me on that one. So, you know, kind of going into like the modeling stuff you've been doing, you know, because I mean, you showed me a couple photos that you had like with the hat on you got right now. I don't know if you had the earrings on, but you had the hat on. So like, you know, kind of let us know what you got going on in the future when it comes to kind of modeling and like some people that you might have worked with already.
So modeling did not come as something that I actually wanted to do.
Yeah.
I've just volunteered a couple of times for a couple of people and they were like, oh, and then I happened to enjoy it. And so now I'm the spokesmodel for New York Houston boutique right here in Houston off McKinley, like near downtown in Maine. I am the face of their glasses, which is Fifth Avenue 5. And so that has kind of actually been bringing me more into like this modeling thing. I'm 4'11", okay? So most people don't expect me to be, you know, a model. Most models are 5'7", 5'8", whatever,
Yeah.
or taller. But like I did a couple photos and somebody was like, you look really tall. And I was like, thank you, Mom, for these long legs.
Confidence. Your confidence makes you look taller sometimes.
You know? And
Yeah.
then just like, I don't know, I just enjoyed it. Now I'm kind of doing it more regularly. Like I said, I'm the spokesmodel for New York Houston Boutique. And she has been like giving me this platform to model. Last year for my birthday, I did like a 30th photo shoot just to kind of like get comfortable in my skin. I've always been pretty confident, but I think now as I get into more like womanhood, you know, something about turning 30 does something to you. You know, it's like, huh.
No, I already know. Your whole mindset changes. I got to get to this money. You know, I feel you.
Right. And so I'm like, you know, it's something that I enjoy doing. It's something that's also profitable. So I'm like, shoot, y'all need a pretty face. I got y'all. Y'all need me to stand up and be cute. You know, I've done a couple music videos like years back. Again, as favors to people, you know, oh, we just need somebody cute to stand in the background. Oh, I can stand in the background, you know, that kind of thing.
Drink a martini.
Oh, you just need me to walk by in the bathing suit. I can walk by in the bathing suit, you know. it just kind of started as that kind of thing. And from there, word of mouth, it was like, oh, I got somebody that can do that for you. And so, that's what I'm doing now. We're about to launch our second book, our second magazine for New York, Houston. So that's kind of exciting to be in her lookbook and be the face of that company. And hopefully that, somebody sees me and decides that they want me to be, in a Calvin Klein spread or something,
You already know.
Dolce and Gabbana or something. So need me.
Gucci.
Louis Vuitton. You need me to walk in with a bag. I can do that.
Call my phone.
Call me.
So, like I always do, I always tell people there's 2 questions left. There's 2 questions left. These are the last 2 questions. And the last one will be very interesting. But before this one, I think this one will be very interesting. So,
okay.
When it comes to the whole military thing, from everything that you can tell unexplicitly, like, what is the craziest story that you can tell us that is okay to say on Facebook and okay to tell the world that happened in the military?
Okay. So,
are you sure it's okay?
I can't tell any of my military stories.
Okay.
But I can tell a story when I was overseas.
Okay.
And it's not really a story. It's just that, like, when I went to Jordan, I wasn't expecting to be as accepted as we were. Like, we were welcomed with open arms, that kind of thing. I got to, like, they did a Christmas party, and we were there with the king. And that was cool. Like, the prince and the chief of staff, like, all of these, like, high-ranking people in the military came. But the coolest thing is that, like, the king, like, you never actually get to see him. You never actually get to be next to him. He's like this barrier of, like, humans as a shield. And it's kind of dope, but to be in Jordan and to experience, like, just the culture and things like that, like, that was dope. Like, that probably was the best thing. They had real clubs, okay, with real alcohol and people really twerking, and I was just blown. I was like mind blown. I was like, what is this? This is like being at home. Like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
So that was probably, like, the craziest thing, is to experience, like, the other culture and not be too straight away from, like, Western culture. They did Christmas, like, they had amazingly large Christmas trees all throughout Amman, and so that was amazing. But, like, yeah, crazy stories I don't have.
Hey,
I don't have any of those that would not incriminate me or other people. So.
Exactly. I ain't trying to get caught up. Someone jumped my window and find, like, damn Tom Cruise in them. No, I don't need all that to happen. I don't need all.
Any of those? No, can't tell those, because then
Yeah, we'll save that for another time. But either way, this is
I say those at the salon.
Don't even say that. They know where you're at. They know you're at. So the last question we got here, I feel like this is the greatest question to ask people, because if they internally know themselves, it'll definitely let you get to know them a lot more, let you know where their mindset's at, and all the above. So I'm just gonna get straight to it. So as Miss Marquette, aka owner of She Is Miss Styles.
One of these days you're gonna get it, and I'm gonna appreciate you. I promise.
I get She Is. Hold on, let me understand.
The acronym is SIMS, right? She is Miss Itzy Styles.
She is Miss. I'll get it right before I go off. I can't disrespect. I don't want to disrespect. I can't do that. So how do you define success?
Oh yeah, we've had this conversation. So you know me, ultimately it's doing what makes you happy without deterring from your peace. So, like, if you generally, like, and you genuinely enjoy working on cars, it brings you happiness. It may not be the most profitable thing, but it brings you happiness, and your business is running fine, things like that. To me, that's successful. I get up every day and I go and I do hair. I call it my little closet salon, because I'm in a suite, and it's not a large suite, but I'm happy. And so to me, I may not be, a millionaire, but I'm good. Like I'm
Mhm.
successful to me because I'm happy. I'm at peace doing what I do. I don't wake up every morning feeling like, let me get to the salon chair, that kind of
Mhm.
thing. I feel like when it doesn't cause you any disruption in your peace, then you live in a successful life. I'm gonna tell you it's some rich homeless folks out here living their best life, and they just as successful as they want to be. you know,
I mean, that's very true. They be out there in the streets. They be out there. So,
Henry.
well, there you have it. Is there anything else you want to shout out, like your IG or anything like that, before we hop off? Before we go through
But
it.
of course. So you can always follow me here on Facebook. She is Miss Itzy Styles. If you look up Salon Meyerland, I'm located inside of Salon Meyerland. That is the number one relaxed and natural black salon suites in Houston. So that's where you can find me. You can also follow me on Instagram. She is Miss Itzy Styles, or just follow my modeling regular Instagram. That's Miss Itzy, MSITZY. Um, I'm the only Miss Itzy. You can Google it. Just look up Miss Itzy and everything about me will come up, I promise you.
Okay. Well, there you have it. You're not in the same way every time. If y'all don't
Every
remember
time.
he said or anything I said, always remember, mind your business. Peace.